Carney, I mean, we're talking about bankruptcy at this point in the country. We're like what was it, the PBO, the parliamentary budget officer, that he's an interim. He came out and he said, we just can't afford it. We just can't.
I'm weirdly looking forward to the budget when it comes out next week, which, by the way, like, I got to repeat that, right? Think about that. Like, it's November. It's November. So the 2025 budget, hey, is coming out on November 4th. Like, the 11th month of the year. Like
the budget for this year.
Yeah. Like, okay, wow. Like,
and then next year's budget.
I mean, I wish I could always budget like that. And by the way, if he budgets and he's wrong, like, he's going to be an idiot. I mean, like, yeah, imagine giving my budget at the end of the year to my boss. You better get it right, because you know what you spent. Oh.
Well, what's crazy is even the Toronto Star is talking about this now. They're saying Mark Carney could cut billions by letting Trudeau era programs expire, report says. So apparently he could just sit on his tuchus, maybe even sleep in, not even come to work, and get a bunch of cuts going. But you know what that means, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
means a lot of people will be out of a job.
Well, actually, actually, it happened on Friday, right? On Friday, yeah, it happened on Friday. Carney had a State of the Union address, right? We don't have very many of them, so people dialed in. It's like, oh, okay, what's he got to tell us? And basically, he took time from the CBC and all the mainstream medias, and he spoke to the nation for 40 minutes, and he said nothing. But the only thing I took away from his speech is, it does go in line with that article from the Sun or the Star. Carney says Canadians need to prepare for more sacrifice. I'm like, holy shit, man! Like, how much more sacrifice do we need to prepare for? So he's hinting that he might cut some budget somewhere, some money, but I can't see it because unless he wants to be defeated, he needs to put in a lot of stuff in the budget to get the budget approved, right? It's his first budget, and he's not going to risk getting it shot down. So I think he's going to increase the spending. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm torn here. Part of me actually at this point wants him to get defeated and send the country back to the votes.
Where's that going to go? Do you think? Well, perhaps this is a strategy, because we all saw what Doug Ford did over the past week, right? Yep. Which is crazy. And I've been reporting on this one because this is just such an idiotic thing. For those that maybe are just tuning in, haven't heard this story yet, but Doug Ford published an ad in the United States, and it was an ad using Ronald Reagan's voice. I can't show the ad. Last time I did, I got a copyright strike for the music that they put in the ad, but it was basically Ronald Reagan's speech from the 1980s, but it was cut down and it was bits cut out of it. And the way it sounded with all of the, Americana B-roll going across the screen, it sounded very much like Ronald Reagan was saying, kind of thwarting Donald Trump's idea of what tariffs are about and what's going on with tariffs. The reality of the situation is actually Donald Trump was in a similar situation as Ronald Reagan at that time, because Ronald Reagan was trying to put tariffs on Japan. And the government was trying to come in and thwart him from being able to use those powers. And so he was in a battle. The Supreme Court, I think it was under the Supreme Court, and the Congress, I think, was trying to pass legislation to make sure he couldn't do it. But he pushed and he made this ad saying, no, it's important that the president have the power to use tariffs for these kinds of purposes. And this is the idea. If trade partners are not behaving the way the United States would prefer that they behave, we can use these negotiation tactics.
Yeah, basically Reagan in the whole speech said, I'm not a big fan of tariffs, but in this instance, I need them. So, and that's the part that they left out. The Ford liberals, the Ford conservatives, let's face it, they're liberals.
They're liberals, yeah.
Ford rewrote it and to make it sound like, yeah, Reagan was entirely against tariffs, and it irritated Trump, right? It irritated, by the way, and it wasn't just a small ad. Like he was going to run it like, Super Bowl style. Like he ran it during the World Series on. I mean, I listened to him on the radio. Like he ran it right up until Monday. He ran the ad the day after the ad. The day after the ad first came out. Trump got real upset. Trump said, "That's it. I'm canceling all negotiations." And then there was this weird fight between Carney and Ford because Ford says, "Oh, Carney saw it." But then it's a he says, she says, because Ford says Carney saw it. Carney says, "Oh, I seen it, but I didn't approve it and I didn't want it." Apparently, Carney asked Ford to pull it. Ford says, "I'm not going to pull it until Monday." So he ran it 2 nights ago during the Jays game again. And
the World Series, by the way, like
yeah, and
a lot of Americans are watching this, and a lot of right-leaning Americans as well. This is like,
well, and not only did Trump
goal.
say, "I'm canceling the deal talk or the trade talks," but then he went and slapped more tariffs on us, and it immediately had and that's having an impact on Ontario. And then people are like, journalists are asking Trump or Ford, "Aren't you going to apologize? You're causing harm to your own people." And in his own mind, he's like, "Well, no, I'm defending my own people." I'm like, well, stop defending because what you're doing is hurting. Like
Scott Besant put it best, and he's in charge of these like trade negotiations. This is what he said on the American news.
Well, Kristen, let's think about this. This is a kind of propaganda against U.S. citizens. It's psyops. Why would the government of Ontario? I'm told that they have spent or were planning to spend up to $75 million on these ads to come across the U.S. border. So what was the purpose of that other than to sway public opinion? And it's some kind of propaganda.
And that's exactly it, swaying public opinion, but also swaying the opinion, or perhaps the Supreme Court that's going through a major decision right now on these tariffs. Imagine, really, and imagine that's meddling. That's foreign meddling.
It's foreign interference. Affairs. Imagine if Trump did that to us. Everybody'd be screaming foreign interference. I mean, they were saying foreign interference during the election when Trump was joking about the 51st state. And now, well, no, this is not.
Well, that's it. I likened it. I likened it to the United States spending millions of dollars on an ad and putting it all through Canadian media with an out of context clip of Terry Fox saying all kinds of things against public medicine and having we should never have universal medical. And it's like, but that may not be what he had to say, but that's propaganda. That's how that works. You can't do that. And of course, Doug Ford doubling down now on this, saying that no, it was Carney. It was me and Carney. We watched it together. This is what he said today. It's unbelievable.
Back to the Reagan ad. How do you know the Prime Minister and his Chief of Staff saw this particular ad before you moved ahead with airing it?
I was with them. Anyways, everyone's obsessed. Just think of that, 11.4 billion impressions or views. Like, that means every leader in the world saw it, and it's just real. It's a real ad. It worked. It was the most successful ad ever. I don't know any ad that's ever hit 11.4 billion in every single country in the world. Their leadership and population was watching it because it's real. Ronald Reagan is telling the truth. A tariff on Canada is a tax on American people.
So he doubles down on the propaganda line, and it's just like, wow, this is a train wreck that just keeps steamrolling through. And like, what do you do? Like, he won't even stop it. He's a conductor. He's like going full tilt. He's just full steam ahead. Why? Why would he do this to the Canadian people? Because this is really, at the end of the day, what's happening. This is an assault on the Canadian people. Jobs are going to be lost. Like Doug Ford single-handedly just took away more jobs than Stellantis, GM, or any of these companies that have left combined. He's encouraging companies to leave because he knows that Donald Trump is not going to speak to Canadians on trade until at least the new year now. This is crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, one way or another, Ford is working for the Liberals. That's all there is to it. I mean, he's doing this, but this is pain right now. It looks like a fight between Canada, it looks like a fight between two top guys. It looks like a fight between between Ford and Carney, but that's gonna fade away. And I think there might be an election in a month from now or 2 months from now, and then this will come back, and it's all to vilify Trump. Right now, it's all to make Trump look bad. It doesn't matter what happens here in Canada if. All that people will remember from this incident, from this advertising, is that Trump increased the tariffs by 10%. Nobody will remember this ad. That's my thought. I'm giving these guys a lot of credit, but I think they're strategizing for an election. I've convinced myself that we're going to an election in the next 3 or 4 months, because the government is paralyzed right now, and the Liberals in their mind think that they have a lead still, and they're going to try and get a majority. Because face it, the NDP have disintegrated, and the Bloc are continuing to disintegrate. So it's just a head-to-head race there's no vote splitting right now. It's Liberal versus Conservatives, and Pierre's not that popular, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Liberals try and strike and call a snap election or do something, purposely lose the budget. There's too much insanity. I mean, I'm really having a hard. I'd love to sit down in this one with a whiteboard with friends and try to brainstorm it, because there's some really, really, really weird shit going on right now, including the Bank of Canada today. Look at what the Bank of Canada did today.
Well, we're gonna get into that, but
yeah,
you're actually right on this one, and this is the first time I've ever sided with this idea that perhaps there might be an election soon, and it's because this is their only play for elections. When the elections are done, they usually turn away and put away the rhetoric of Donald Trump being a crazy, scary bad guy. But they're ramping it up. They're absolutely ramping it up. So what does that tell you? It tells you exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, we basically had
there's no other reason.
Yeah, we've had a minority government for going on 6 years now, and at multiple levels, right? A lot of our governments are kind of frozen that way. And the only way to win is this whole concept of snap elections. You and I are against snap elections. I mean, I'm totally in favor. This is why I want these fixed dates. But and by the way, just a reminder, right? If the Liberals had not prorogued Parliament when they did, the election was due last week. We would have gone to the vote now. We were supposed to have an election last week. So think And I think the last 6 months was just a rehearsal. The Liberals are not happy, and they're demented, and they're opportunistic, and they prorogued, which was a bullshit move, and I think they're getting ready for another bullshit move. They're not going to strike a deal with the Bloc and the NDP like they did last time to try and pass legislature through, and nothing's going to pass right now.
Unless they're willing to put up with their demands.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I don't think the NDP, I don't think that the Bloc Québécois will consider that, they'll get a better deal under the Conservatives. So want to defeat the government on those grounds. So I don't know. The only way I see the Liberals going into an election is if they want to go into election and they defeat themselves, right? Because the Bloc will vote with the Liberals. If the Liberals go full on, they'll do that because they think that they got a better leg up with even a minority Liberal government. In fact, they have more of a leg up with a minority Liberal government than they do with a majority. They'll have nothing at that point. So it would have to be the Liberals defeating themselves. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more clips like that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. The link is right here. If you want to see it live as it happens, make sure you're subscribed to the Clyde Do Something YouTube channel. The link is right there. We'll see you in the next one.